What are we doing in the black community? The number one consumer of a Mercedes-Benz
It's us.
us. The number one consumer of a Gucci and a Louis Vuitton, us. And they don't even advertise. Why is it that in the black community, we are always the number one consumer, but we're not the number one creators?
So you just said it. The fact that there's consumers and creators. For so long, we assume success based on consumption.
Welcome to Closing Gap Podcast. I am your co-host, Mr. Eddie Richardson, here with our host and owner of Hamilton Wealth Advisors, Mr. Wilbert Hamilton. How you doing today, my brother?
Hey, man, blessed and highly favored.
As always, good to hear, and you're tuned in to another righteous and holy episode of Closing the Gap Podcast, where we strive to give you the truth about wealth. And today, well, just to be honest, man, we struggled with it, with titling it.
You
know what I'm saying? It was a struggle, but I think I think the title for this that we settled in is seasonal control. And the premise behind that is, in life, you go through seasons.
Absolutely.
Right? You got winter, spring, summer, fall seasons of weather. We're having a change of season.
Yes.
Right now. Everything in life, there are seasons to it. And Ecclesiastes chapter 3 speaks about seasons, and the various things that there, how there's a season for everything in life. And here, as we begin to talk about your financial health and your faith, your health and your faith, we want to talk about how you need to manage your seasons, how you need to control the seasons that you are going through in the various stages of your life. We know, Wilbur, we have listeners that spread the gamut of age. Mm-hmm. So when we're speaking, we know that some people are in their spring season. Mm-hmm. And the spring season is a time of planting seeds. It's a time of that. Then you have some people that are in their summer season. They're in the hottest time of their life. They're in the prime of their life, right?
I'm in the summer.
I'll evaluate my season after we get through the podcast. And then you have some people that are in the harvest season, the fall season, and then some people are in their winter season. And the thing about it is, no matter where you are right now, you're going to go through each one of those seasons just by virtue of age.
Absolutely.
Right? By virtue of age, you're going to go through those seasons, but then also you're going to go through those seasons in terms of your earning potential.
Absolutely.
Right? In terms of your earning potential, you're going to go through various seasons. And so what we want to do here at Closing the Gap Podcast today is to help you be able to control each one of those seasons that you are going through. Mm-hmm. Controlling your retirement.
Absolutely.
Right? Controlling your investments, controlling your retirement future.
Yes.
That's another facet of retirement, Wilbur, is you can retire, but then what does that future look like?
Absolutely. Well, a lot of times, I tell people, most people don't plan to fail, but they do fail to plan. Mm-hmm. And of course, that's been our theme really of the year.
All year.
Is, write it down and make it plain. Make sure that you have a plan of action that you can follow, that you can, evaluate, that you continue to, add to, make additions and changes to. We talked about in the previous episodes, make sure we lay that solid foundation.
Correct.
Because the foundation is shoddy. Mm-hmm. Then, of course, the house is going to come tumbling down. Yeah. So we want to make sure we build a house on solid foundation. We want to build a house on rock, not on sand. So just making sure that we have that solid foundation that everything can build upon. Yeah. Because we can always add additional room to the house.
That's fair.
We can always build another level on top of the current level if we got a solid foundation. So making sure that we understand that, we have a foundation, we have a plan. We've evaluated that plan. We continue to analyze that plan, but making sure that plan is built for us. Mm-hmm. All too often, in life, a lot of times we build plans for ourselves according to what we've seen somebody else do. Mm-hmm. Or we build our plans based on what we saw, someone else receive or have, or we end up being somewhat covetous of someone else's gifts or blessings. And we say, well, we start building our life around what they received, as opposed to making sure that we have built our life upon what God wants us to have. Yeah. So making sure that, we have that plan that we follow that's been customized to our lives based on what we've communicated with God we want to have, and making sure that all that is in alignment, and then obviously working with a professional. You just talk about this over and over again. We're big on getting professional help. All too many times in life, people are taking advice from people who are not seasoned professionals, people who are not experts, people who are not licensed, they're not certified. Making sure that you get professional advice from someone who's been there and done that.
That's right.
Making sure you're getting advice from someone who's helped somebody else. Not taking that water cooler advice, not taking that advice from your cousin, sister, mom, and them friend who did it for a little while, but decided they want to change and go do something else. I'm not saying that person can't be intelligent. That person may not be a bright individual, but trusting your financial future in the hands of someone who does not handle financial futures for a living can be dangerous to your future.
That's right. So see, that's why we entitled it Season of Control. How do you control those seasons? And what Wilbert has just explained to you is what we strive to do here is to help you, to aid you, to assist you along the journey. Right? Professional advice is the key, because there's all type of advice that you can receive, and there's nothing wrong with you gathering information.
Absolutely.
If you're wise enough to read the book, if you're wise enough to study on your own, then by all means do so, because we do believe, as you said, Will, but everybody has various gifts and talents. You know what I'm saying? And scripture even speaks to that end, that we all have various gifts and talents. And some people, you may be gifted to be able to handle it on your own. And that is fine. And we don't want to knock that at all. We encourage that, as a matter of fact, because if that's the case, then we know that God has endowed you that level of knowledge to be able to do it on your own.
Yes.
But for those of you that are in a different season, a varied season, then we want you to come to Hamilton Wealth Advisors, have a sit down, have a talk, and let's lay out the plan that we've been talking about all year to get you to where you need to be while you are in whatever season of life you are in currently. You need to gain control of your situation.
Yes.
Oftentimes how would I say it? Well, I want to be correct in this. I was about to.
We
have
ain't got
a
to
moment.
put
I was
it
about to
correct
have-
all the time. And I say it is sometimes, a lot of times, because there's seasons in life, because there's, seasons of change. A lot of times we can overestimate our own personal intelligence. And even for those of us who are very super bright and intelligent when it comes to how to invest our money.
Yes.
And see, we'll take that a lot of times and think, I know how to handle my financial future going forward, when investing your money is only a piece of the financial plan. It's not everything that goes into the financial plan. So even those of you who are bright and intelligent in certain areas, but there are multiple areas. This is why it's always important to make sure you're working with a professional, because that professional is going to have access to other professionals. They're going to have access to more information. So now, when we're evaluating the plan as Hamilton Wealth Advisors, as a financial advisor, I'm not just looking at your investment portfolio. I'm looking at how the taxes are going to be affected to you personally from your investment portfolio. I'm looking at how to de-risk your portfolio. I'm looking at what we need to have in place to actually put in place that estate plan, so when we enter into that different season of life, that we've accounted for it. Because this way you grow your money is not always the best way to take income from your money. So we got that financial plan, but inside of that financial plan, inside of the investment portfolio, we got an income plan. We got an estate plan. We have to have a health care plan. What's going to happen? People living longer. If we're living longer, that means there's going to be more costs to be paid from a health standpoint. That means we're going to go to the doctor more. That means we may have to pay for more medication for a longer period of time. That may be we need to pay more for assisted living, home health care. So all these costs are adding up, but you've only accounted for the investment portion. Because see, that's the sexy portion everybody like to talk about. So everybody's always talking to me, Mr. Hamilton, what should I invest in? What should I do? And I'm like, well, that's a piece of the conversation. And that's a part of the conversation we definitely have. And we address that part. But know that what happens on all too often, and what I run into as a professional, is I meet people that say, well, I know how to do what you do. And I'm saying, not really. And I say, well, you might be good at this piece, but I'm actually an expert at doing all of the pieces. My job as a financial advisor is see the end in the beginning. And I'm going to look at it and say, okay, well, this investment leads into this income plan. This income plan has to cover this healthcare plan. This healthcare leads into what's going to be left for the estate plan. And the estate is what's going to be left to the next generation. Because I want to teach my community how to create generational wealth. So I can't miss a piece of the puzzle. All of these things have to be working together in unison to create generational wealth. And see, that's why we have a lack of wealth in our community, because we got a lot of people that have become very astute, have become bright when it comes to making the money.
Yes.
But see, making the money is only a piece of it. We have the greatest earning potential we've ever had as a community.
Okay.
So we're doing better, but we're not doing the best. They're doing the best. And I'm going to stay there, but we're going to leave it politically correct for now. I'm saying the best because, not because they out earn us on a per couple basis. They're doing the best because they understand how to transition. They understand the things that need to be implemented to help transfer more wealth. They understand the value of the right type of life insurance, term versus permanent. They understand having long-term care. They understand the value of having a plan. They understand the value of having a financial advisor, the value of having a CPA or tax strategist, not just a tax preparer. So we think of things as, oh, well, first thing we ask about a professional is how much do they charge? Well, when you really should be looking at how much value do they create? See, I'm okay paying 3 times more for the same work if it gives me 10 times the value on the back end. So we want to pay $250 for the taxes to get done to get the max refund versus saying, how do I lower the amount that I would have given them in the first place? Well, why did I give the government so much money in the beginning? Is there a way for me to restructure, to strategize so I can actually keep more? Because at the end of the day, the financial advisor's role and responsibility is to make sure I get the most amount of money in my clients' hands for them to enjoy life from now into kingdom come.
Amen. Amen. It's from now to kingdom come. And those are 2 different seasons. The now season.
Yes.
Where are you now? And then kingdom is going to come. And where will you be in that season is key. And we want to be able to give you all that you can to be able to control each one of those seasons. Isaiah chapter 50, Will, I think is key here, where the prophet says that the Lord God has given me the tongue of the learned, that I should know how to speak a word in season to him that is weary. I think that's key for us here today, is to let the people know that we are not just coming based off of strictly book learning, training, from that perspective, right? Although that is what we are doing. But in addition to that, we're coming as the prophet. We're coming as one that is learned from God. That's why Will is entitled himself the minister of money. But I want to say, but I want to switch that, right? I want to switch that. We want to give us some new names. How about that? You're the minister of finance. Okay. And I'll be the minister of faith. Okay. Right. So the 2 MOFs, right? I'm gonna be the minister of faith, and this is the minister of finance. Okay. And key in that is being ministers, meaning that we have received what we give. We've been endowed this from God. This is an anointing. This is what we receive each and every day, and we are fulfilling our calling and our gift. And so within that, we take what the book knowledge that we have, and then we cipher that through the Holy Ghost and let it give us what we need to give to each and every person. This is the key when we're talking about seasonal control, and in seasons of control, is that we are not just allowing the book sense to guide us, but we are allowing God to guide us in what you receive. So when you come here to Hamilton Wealth Advisors, what you will receive is you receive godly financial knowledge, but then also the best training that is out here in the financial markets is what you will receive from Mr. Wilbert Hamilton and Hamilton Wealth Advisors. Within this network, that's what you're going to get, because we don't count it lightly that God has called us to do this work. And then also we understand that each person that we come in contact with is a child of God. Yes. And we want every child of God to be able to have everything that God desires you to have in whatever season of life that you are in. So that's key. We want you to know that. Know that we love you. Know that we understand what you're going through. Know that we want to see you succeed, all right, in every season. And that's the thing about being able to control every season, Wilbur, is you can succeed in every season. Yes. I don't think people understand that. Everybody wants the harvest season,
Yeah, it's the
right? But they don't understand that the season that you're planting the seed has to be successful first and
Yes.
foremost before you have the seed harvest. The harvest from the
Well, since people they don't want what come with the planting though. Sis, there's some work that has to be done. And of course, they say, don't get weary in well doing.
Yes.
Well, every now and then I get a little weary. Every now and then I get a little tired because dealing with God's people sometimes can be tiresome. So I understand that. But what I've also understand and learned is that God will always renew my strength.
Yes, sir.
In that season, even though it's not a harvest season for me, there is a harvest to be received in every season.
Yeah.
Because even as I'm planting, I'm being rewarded, I'm being reinforced, knowing that there's something going to come. See, we want the gift to look the same all the time. We want to see the gift, touch the gift, feel the gift, and be able to deposit the gift in our bank account at all times. When at all times, that's not the gift being given. A lot of times the gift being given is the process that you're learning how to apply what God has given you to what you're dealing with so you can function better throughout the seasons as they come about. Because we know there's going to be different seasons. Of course, there's a harvest and a planting. Of course, that in between season, the waiting period, the growth period where we got to just go water that plant. We got to water that seed when we're not harvesting just yet. And it's going to be some time that has to pass. So being patient and content while those seeds are growing and being okay if we don't see that seed growing because the seed don't grow on our time.
That's right.
It grows on God's time. And of course, God's time don't always align with our time, but he's always on time. So understanding that, learning that we all have a season and seasons to go through, and what we learn, being able to apply it as we go through life, as life's challenges come through, because you may be going through a process of planting, and every now and then that plow gonna break. Every now and then that horse ain't gonna pull. Every now and then, that arm gonna get a little sore. But we have to continue to keep going and learn how to adjust and move on the fly and continuing the planting that has to be done in order to receive that harvest.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So when we're talking about seasons of control, when the plow breaks, when the horse doesn't move, when your financial gain is not coming in at the same rate that it did at one time, how do you control that situation? When things start going awry, how do you control that situation? Well, that's what we're going to give you today is we're going to talk about some of those things of how do you still stay in full control of those situations? Because here's the thing about what you just said, Will, when the plow break, when the horse doesn't plow, when the batteries go out, and things like that, when things break and you weren't prepared for it, we want you to be prepared for it. And that's how you prepare for it, is knowing that whatever can happen will happen, right? And wherever you are, and there are things that are going to happen that are beyond your control. But when you are in control of your life right now, and you are in control of your finances, then having the proper plan will help you be prepared for the unexpected.
Absolutely.
And so case in point, we had pandemic. Very few of us were really prepared. We didn't know that was coming, right? But here's the thing about having a financial advisor like Mr. Wilbert Hamilton and Hamilton Wealth Advisors is stays plugged in like Isaiah in Isaiah chapter 50 and verse 4. The second part of that verse about being in season says that he wakened me morning by morning and wakened mine ear to hear as to learn, meaning that God prepares us even when we don't see what is coming.
Yes.
And so that's why you need to have a financial advisor like Wilbert Hamilton and Hamilton Wealth Advisors, somebody that not only knows and understands all the financial information that needs to be and has all of the credentials that he needs, but also one that is plugged into God and is able to hear from the voice of God. So when we come back, We're going to continue to talk about how you can control your seasons of financial gain or whether that's lack. See you back shortly. Welcome back to Closing the Gap Podcast, where we give you the truth about Black wealth. I am your co-host, Mr. Eddie Richardson, here with our host and owner of Hamilton Wealth Advisors, Mr. Wilbert Hamilton. And we're talking about, seasonal control, controlling your seasons that you are in life. And we want to move into this next segment, Wilbert, and talk about seasons of uncertainty.
Yes.
We talk about financial markets and what has been going on recently. I alluded to it earlier about, we went through the pandemic and nobody really saw that coming.
Yeah.
In that way. And the markets tanked, because everything was uncertain. What is this disease? What is this? We got to stay at home. Where's my money? How am I going to work? How am I going to earn? And a lot of people lost money in the market. A lot of people were uncertain about things. And so that was a spooky season of life, season of uncertainty. And then in that we have rates and market swings that have come as a result of the pandemic. Even now, in the big seven in the markets, know what all is going on. We have AI and all of these various things. Nobody really knows where the markets are going to go per se. Everybody's kind of up in arms in a sense. So, if you could, Will, let's talk about how we can still gain control in the season where things feel like everything is out of control.
Well, the first thing that, that tells me if a client is going to be successful from a financial standpoint is, what is their relationship with Christ? As ironic as it is, because God is not the author of confusion.
Yes, sir.
And if you operate in a state of confusion, if you are chaotic with how you live your life, and you allow the world to dictate how you move, you will always be in a state of chaos, which means you will always be in a state of uproar, and you always be in a state of lack. See, when you connect to the right source, he calms you. He slows you down. Everything you do becomes a lot more methodical. You start planning. You start preparing. And there's preparation that goes into what you do, when you do, and how you do it. So once you start, evaluating what's going on around you, you don't operate just because, something happened on the news. You don't operate just because of what someone said to you on your job. You sit down and you actually start asking God the questions of, Lord, lead me in the direction you would have me to go. Lord, bring me the people that you would have me to hear from, and allow the Spirit to guide me in my decision making and give me a spirit of discernment in order to make sure I'm making the right decisions. And he will give you a sense of peace. That's why I always tell people, my greatest gift as a financial advisor is being able to create peace.
Yeah.
But I can only create peace if I'm listening to God and you listening to him with me. And when we put together the plan, God will speak peace over this financial plan. So understanding that, it's my job to evaluate where the client is first.
Okay.
And also understand at some point in time where they want to be. And we may not be there in the time frame in which you want to be there, but that's okay. That don't mean we can't get there. We just may have to adjust some things. And if you want to get there in your time frame, well, guess what? You may have to make more changes within your life. You may need to make some sacrificial cuts to some things you're doing in your life. You may need to downsize from this card to that card. You may need to reduce your monthly expenses and cut some of the, Starbucks runs out. You may need to cut, some of the bags and the shoes and some of the lifestyle purchases. We may need to minimize those in order to maximize your time frame or your window to getting where you want to be financially. But we can get there, but you got to know what cuts are needed in order to get there first. So that's where the first step is the evaluation. Just looking at what you have and what are you doing. First step is the budget. How much is coming in versus how much is going out. And if you got something left over after that, what are you doing with the leftovers? Are you investing those leftovers, or are you just throwing them out when you're going to the mall, or you're going to, go shopping online? And, I myself, I ain't been to the mall in a long time, but that don't mean I ain't been shopping in a long time. I shop more online than I do, offline now. That's just the way we go. But understanding that means that, okay, if I want to accomplish a certain goal and I want to add to my investments, my savings, well, I need to make some adjustments. I need to make some sacrifices. But if I know what sacrifices to make and I understand what these sacrifices will produce, that's where we can lead to have some success. Most people don't know what reward they will be given if they were to make a certain sacrifice, because they're trying to quantify it themselves. They're trying to say in their mind, well, if I lose this, I'm going to get that. If I save this, I'm going to get that. Well, without actually having a plan and having those numbers actually put into a system to generate a real return on my investment, and actually seeing, well, if I was to save an extra $200 now, that would allow me to retire 2 years sooner than what I would have. If you knew that, would you do that? When we know better, we usually do better. But the first step is to actually analyze and evaluate, because most times people move way too fast. We move way too quick in our decision making because we are reactionary. I'm not reactionary when it comes to managing money.
Okay.
I'm proactive when it comes to managing money. I'm not reacting off of what the market did today. I didn't react off of COVID. I didn't react off of the drop we had earlier this year, because even in COVID, if you stayed the course and had a plan, in 8 months, you had all your money back. The market recovered very fast through the COVID pandemic. There was a swift drop, obviously, in that March going into April, because we saw something that the world has never seen before.
Correct.
Or at least in our lifetime.
Correct. Yes.
So with that being said, there was reactions that happened in the marketplace. And because no one knew exactly what was going to happen, why would you make changes to something that you don't know what the cause and the result of is actually going to be? So your best bet is to, if I'm unsure, let me just stay the course. Let me just have a conversation with God to see, Lord, what would you have me to do? If I don't know what to do, why am I doing anything? But most people, they start reacting and moving and doing things way too soon. Because if you'd have just stayed the course, or if you had a plan, because anytime you have a plan, you're usually in agreements where you're staying the course on whatever the goals and objective of that plan are, regardless of what's happening around you. I'm going to stay the course because this is my plan. This is going to get me to a desired destination. And if you're working with a good financial advisor, then that financial advisor has taken into account those drops in the market are going to happen. We know the market is going to self-correct from time to time. We know there's going to be some things that are outside of our control that's going to cause a reaction in the stock market from a negative standpoint. We know this is going to happen. I've built that into my analysis. I've built that into my planning, so it's not unexpected. We've prepared for the drop. So when the drop happens, and my client said, Mr. Hamilton, what we need to do? And I'm saying nothing. We've already planned for this. So if anything, we prepare to, now we can double down on the plan and continue to move forward. Now we can see a benefit from it, because see, we all understand most people do the opposite of what they should be doing when it comes to investing. Most people buy high and they sell low. So when something reactionary happens in the market and the market drops and everybody start panicking, they start doing what? Selling. Well, that's where I'm saying, well, now it's time to buy. The best way to do is to be the opposite of what you see most people doing. Individually, people are very bright. Collectively, they make very bad decisions. We see that right now in the United States of America. You see groups of people making questionable decisions, making questionable statements because they've aligned with a certain demographic or party. Where in our situation, we understand that individually, those people wouldn't say the same thing. But we understand that. So when I'm doing my planning, when I'm doing my evaluation, I've built that into the process. So I know when the things happen, I can either stay the course because my plan is built for it, or I can double down and actually add to my investments when the market takes a dip, because my goal is to buy low
Yeah.
and sell high. But we do the opposite.
Yeah. So understand, to everything in life, there is a season. And being able to have the right conversation with the right person helps you determine what season you're in.
Absolutely.
And that mainly what you said, Wilbert, is there are two people that you need to have a conversation with. You need to have a conversation with God, and you need to have a conversation with a good financial advisor, because that's key. There are many financial advisors, but everybody is not good at what they are doing. And we're not, negatively critiquing them, but hey, that's just what life is. Everybody is not an expert at what they.
Oh, I always ask people, ask them, what's your why? So that's something I'm real big on.
Yeah.
When I'm working with anybody, tell me why you do what you do. Tell me what's your motivation. What are your goals and dreams and objectives? What do you want to get from your profession? And based on that action and that answer, that tells me if there's someone I should probably work with.
Yeah.
Because see, for me, the goal is impact. The goal is change. The goal is positive future. Because see, I have a fear of being forgotten. That is something that drives me. So because I have a fear of being forgotten, of leaving this earth not having made my mark and impact, that drives me to be more impactful in each and every person that I come into contact with. So every meeting that I have as a financial advisor, I'm trying to impart all the wisdom that I have. I'm trying to impact them and benefit them and bless them in a way that it will never be forgotten.
Yeah.
So for me, it's impact. Impact is what creates purpose. If I don't have a purpose to create impact, I'm just working for money. And if someone's working for money, will their decision making benefit you, or will it benefit them?
Yeah, that's key right there, because a lot of times we're being taken advantage of.
Absolutely.
In various situations. And so what you need to understand, if you're listening to us, if you're watching us, understand that here at Hamilton Wealth Advisors, the key is impact. It's not about taking advantage of you. It's not about just making money, but it's about aiding you to become and to have what God desires for you to become and what God desires for you to have. And no matter what season you are in, our season here is to have an impact on you, because God has made a tremendous impact on us, and God requires us to make an impact on you. That's why we are the ministers of faith and the ministers of finance, because to be a minister, we're saying that we have been called by God to do the work that we are doing. And so we want you to grow and to have what God desires for you to have, that you'll be able to navigate whatever season of life you're in.
Yes.
Right? Be able to navigate it all. So as we move forward, looking forward, I like how you said that no matter what has happened in the market, you follow the plan.
Yes.
Right? You had a plan laid out and you planned for these various things. So in that planning phase, what I also heard you say is being attuned to God, praying and listening to God in that way assists you to make that tune up and to be prepared in every season. So in addition to that, from your expertise as a financial advisor, more of the technical side, how do we move and look ahead in these types of seasons within our plan?
Well, a lot of times I see the majority of mistakes that are made because A, we didn't get an evaluation. B, we trusted ourselves more than we probably should. And C, we reacted versus being proactive. And when it comes to financial planning and financial advising and investing overall, people make the mistake of picking the investment product before they create the plan that should dictate what kind of product they should be picking. So a lot of times you hear people say, well, I don't like stock market because I lost some money. Or you hear people say, well, I don't like insurance because I didn't make any money. Or I don't like annuities because, I heard that you don't get to get your money back, or some story of what they've heard from someone else. When in reality, if you have a plan, Your plan is going to tell you the type of rate of return you need from an investment standpoint to accomplish your goal. And based on the return that you need, that will dictate what product you should have and should be invested in. That also will help dictate even furthermore what kind of asset allocation and what kind of, instruments you should be investing in if we're in the market. How aggressive should we be? Should we be more in stocks or should we be more in fixed income? What does that mixture from an investment profile standpoint look like? That's determined by the rate of return that we need. If I don't need but a 4 or 5% return, then I don't have to take a whole lot of risk. But if I need an 8 or 9% return, that means I need to take a little bit more risk. Well, right there, that's dictating what kind of products I have to choose from that can generate those types of returns on my money. So when you have a plan and you've dictated that, now you understand what you should be invested in. Now you can dive into those specific products. Okay. And now you can even refine that even more. You can see which one of those products best suits me. Which one of these products will give me the kind of return I want to have, but in also the safest, most efficient manner. See, I want the safest, fastest thing I can get. If I can get to this destination without taking any risk, then I'm not going to take any risk. Mm-hmm. Most people think they have to take risk in everything they do in order to accomplish their goal, but they don't have access to all of the resources and all of the opportunities that are actually out there. There are a lot of opportunities out there that have upside potential with no downside risk, and you still can accomplish the same goal. Mm-hmm. But also, like we talked about earlier, depending on what season we're in, because if I'm going from an accumulation season into what we call a golden season or retirement season. Well, what I did to get there is not the same thing that's going to keep me there. Mm-hmm. I have to change with the seasons. And most people have become so accustomed to whatever they did to get there, they want to keep doing the same thing, thinking it's going to generate the same result. Well, the stock market is designed to grow your money. It's not designed to pay your income on your money. So understand, you may need to adjust your investment mix. You may need to change the products that you're investing in based on the goal that we're trying to achieve. Because it was growth over here, now it's income over there, and then it may turn into legacy over here. Well, that means that your product mix and variation should be adjusting along the way. Me being 43 versus my dad being 73. We have a different investment mix. We have different goals and objectives. I'm trying to accumulate for retirement. He's already in retirement. He's saying, I'm just trying to leave as much as I can for my kids and grandkids. So we have different objectives, which means that we should probably be invested in different things. Now, that doesn't mean that there can't be some similar variations or those products can have some similarities, but we have to understand what we're trying to get accomplished and where we are individually. Mm-hmm. Too many times I see people that are 45, 46, 47 taking investment advice from someone who is 61, 62, 63. They're going to give you personal advice based on their situation. Your situation is not the same. Yeah. When you take advice from people on the job, unless that person is the same age, has the same spouse, making the same kind of money, got the same number of kids, has the same goals, dreams, and destination that they want to get to, how can you take financial advice from them? They're making decisions based on their life. Mm-hmm. You got to make decisions based on yours. If the two are not the same, well, we shouldn't be doing the same thing. Yeah. So we have to understand that everything from a retirement plan and investment planning standpoint should be boutique service and approach. It should be customized. There's no such thing as a one size fits all. Yeah. And if you got a one size fits all advisor, then guess what? You're going to probably have something that don't fit. We'll see you back in a minute.
Say it was like a mountain that you kind of had to climb up really fast and you fell down because it kind of came out of nowhere. I was definitely looking because, like Wilbert said, I mean, at Hamilton Wealth, you really do care about everyone. I think the planning is like the biggest difference between other investment firms like that I previously worked at, is because I believe in the planning, right? And so I, just networking and talking, going to different events, and it kind of just, like I said, I just fell into it with Wilbur. And I mean, it's been huge blessing being able to work with people that have the same mentality you have, people that have the same care that you have, people that have the faith in God that you have, and just it's very genuine, right? It's not just about the material things. It's not about just the earthly, worldly things, but like actually helping people and setting up people for when we're not here anymore, they can still be successful. They can have generational wealth. But yeah, it really, I mean, when God wants to move, God is going to move. I'll tell you that because, yeah, that's how it happened.
That's excellent. That's excellent. That's excellent. So the God move, God opened the door,
Definitely.
and like you said, you just fell in that door, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, and looks like a pretty soft landing into the door thus far, right?
Yeah, thus far it's been awesome. I've gone all the like we talked about a little bit earlier, like the resources are, close to none just in terms of being able to provide the value to the client, but also for me to continue to grow into the advisor that I am and continue to grow to be. The resources are amazing. The opportunities are amazing. Just being able to really do what I feel like God called me to do.
So this season that you're in, so you said you had been at some other firms,
Yes.
right? So how many years did you work in this field?
Oh man, I actually started interning when I was in college, so 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, just doing a lot of the groundwork, a lot of the calls, the recruiting, as you would say, which is, I don't want to say it's the hardest part, but the job itself is really fun. The job itself is rewarding. The job it's fun is just, it's like when you get to nerd out a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started off doing that and then started, becoming an advisor once I got all my certifications, which was very difficult. It's, it's like tests. It's like taking the SAT, but multiple of them. And you have to get a certain score to be able to pass. And the language that is used is not really typical language or vernacular that we use when we speak. So that was really difficult. But, again, God pushed us through. And yeah, once I got all my licenses, it was good to go.
Good. Great. That's good.
Yeah.
Look, let's welcome back to Closing the Gap Podcast, The Truth About Black Wealth. I am your co-host, Mr. Eddie Richardson, here with our host and owner of Hamilton Wealth Advisors, Mr. Wilbert Hamilton. But then also, in this last segment, we are gathered here with another one of the advisors here at Hamilton Wealth Advisors, Miss Sissy Farmer, right? Tell the people hello for a minute.
Hi, guys.
All right. We're glad to have you in this segment.
Thank you.
And right now in this season, we wanted to introduce you all to another person within Hamilton Wealth Advisors. We know Closing the Gap is an extension, right, of Hamilton Wealth Advisors, but we wanted to bring her on, let you be able to see somebody else, another face that works here at Hamilton Wealth Advisors, because we are in a seasons of growth.
Yes.
And we're talking about seasons of control. And so what we are controlling now is controlling the growth. We are in the growth phase, and Sissy Farmer represents part of that growth. Right. And so, Sissy, so far you are in Hamilton Wealth Advisors. You worked in prior to coming aboard, and I'll say welcome aboard.
Thanks.
All right, we're glad to have you here. All right, and so how is this season here at Hamilton Wealth Advisors working out for you?
Man, it's awesome. I remember being other places and really wanting to do more for my clients. I think that was a huge frustration that I used to have. And being here in this season, it's a breath of fresh air. It's still definitely like gritty and working hard and grinding and, continuing to grow. But it's a breath of fresh air because, we have all the resources here. Like any client, any situation they have, we have all the resources to be able to create their customized plan, as Will was saying before. So, I mean, it's awesome. It's a lot to learn. It's like, a water hose of information, but the information is, very organized. It's very pristine, and how to be able to learn it and apply it.
Gotcha. So how can we help? Wilbert, how can we help in this season, right? I want to talk about this. We're introducing Sissy here, and we're going to continue the conversation talking about controlling the seasons. How can we help our clients from you all's perspective? I'm going to go to you first. how do you help your clients not lose money? Because Warren Buffett has the number one rule: don't lose money.
No,
And
I try to get it back.
So I think from what you said earlier with going through the pandemic, sticking to the plan, that even when things went down, if you stayed in, then you recuperated all the money that was lost and even made money.
Correct.
So how do you go through these seasons and make sure that your clients don't lose money?
Well, I would say it's not so much about not losing money per se.
Okay.
Because obviously none of us can control the stock market, whether it goes up and down. So there's going to be bad days when the market goes down and you're going to lose a little bit. But the biggest thing to understand first and foremost is how much can you afford to lose? See, that's the question that most advisors don't ask their clients. And it seems very elementary, but if we lose too much, there is no coming back, because the greatest factor in making money is always time. It's not how much money you have. The more time I have, the more time I have to make up a loss and get it back to where it was. So me being just say 43, for example, versus my dad being 73. If he takes a loss, he doesn't have the same time on his side that I have in order to recover. If someone is in retirement, they don't have time to lose and then recover because they're already eating the fruits of their labor that they accumulated prior to retirement. Whereas me, I'm still in the accumulation phase of things. So I can stomach a loss, so to speak, because I have time before I look to utilize those funds for retirement. So the biggest things I want people to understand is it's not so much that you won't lose or can't lose money. That you have to understand how much can you afford to lose. So when I meet with clients, one of the first questions that I ask is, how much can we afford to lose? But I know how much we can afford to lose if we sit down and done the plan and the evaluation, because I know what the swings in the market look like based on what you have and what it could go to. But then I know, based on the type of portfolio we're investing in, the average rates of return and what the historical performance is on those portfolios. So I know how long it will take for you to make back up those losses when the gains come back around. Because, of course, we understand the market is somewhat of a roller coaster. There's going to go up and it's going to go down. But if you're properly allocated in the market, if you have a good financial advisor, keyword, good financial advisor, and if you have a plan that's really built to your exact specifications, then your portfolio should probably win 80% of the time. You should win at least 80% of the time in the market if things are being done correctly. If you're not overly weighted in one area or another. We have a lot of people that are too heavily weighted in one direction or the other because they've made investment decisions based on what's hot in the moment, not what's going to be the best thing for them overall. We'll hear, well, what's the next stock tip? People always ask, oh, you got a high stock tip for Mr. Hamilton? And I'm like, no, I don't have a high stock tip for you, because you invest in a high stock today don't mean that stock gonna be hot tomorrow. And all of a sudden you put all your eggs in one basket and then we see what happens. That basket breaks. So understanding how to properly allocate, properly diversify into the right mix of investments, into the right mix of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, annuities, life insurance, making sure we have the right mix inside of our plan. That's what helps to mitigate the loss that you may have or could have in the market, to make sure that you have long-standing success and you can always be moving forward in a positive direction. So it doesn't mean that we never lose money, because I have had clients that have called me, said, Mr. Hamilton, thank you. The market dropped by 20% back in April, but my clients didn't lose 20%. They lost maybe 8 to 10% during that time. So we minimized that risk during that time. But since then, we've recovered and got all that back, plus some, to where now we're still positive double-digit returns for the year based on the plan that we had and understanding how to stay the course, but more importantly, understanding how much we could afford to put at risk from the beginning.
Gotcha. So, Sizzy, based on that, and so far with you being here at Hamilton Wealth Advisors, with some of the clients that you've been working with, what have you seen thus far with questions in their different seasons that people are in? How do you address their questions and try to drive them to a particular plan from your vantage point?
Yeah, so a lot of the clients I work with is within our private client division. So a lot of them are collegiate and professional athletes. So I like to really, education is like a huge, huge thing, right? Understanding what kind of habits do you have? What is your relationship with money? How do you view money, value? Really a lot of the psychological part because like, like Wilbert had said earlier, financial education is like a lot of the keys to a lot of different things, right? So I like to really get them to first understand what is money, understand the value of money, understanding that all this hard work you put in, all the early mornings you wake up in, all the workouts, all the everything, it's your time and energy. That's what your money really, really is. And really getting them to respect money because if you don't respect money, you really aren't respecting yourself. So a lot of what I do is a lot of groundwork. It's a lot of the stuff that a lot of people don't see to get them to first just respect and understand money. And then it goes into pretty much everything Wilbert says. Like once they kind of understand money, they respect money, they work on their habits because habits is a really, really big thing because, you have to save yourself. You have to take care of yourself. You have to put your mask on the plane first, right? Before you can put the mask on anybody else's. So a lot of it is just helping them develop healthy, good habits and decision-making skills when it comes to their money.
Wow. Yeah, you just took me on a trip right then, right? Because going back to the basics is what I hear. Getting back to the foundation. What is money? Right? So, seasons, you're dealing with people that are playing in seasons, as you just said, some athletic clients, so they're in various seasons and they're gonna hit various seasons in their life, right? There's a season, Wilbert, played football. I think you ran track, right? So physically you only have so long that you're going to be at your best.
Correct.
Right. So helping them understand that okay, your earning potential is going to only go so far at this phase. And so financially for an athlete, they have to make sure that they invest their money and understand what it is first and foremost. So if I could ask you, so what is money in that regard? Like, what do you tell those clients? How do you explain what money is to them and get them to grasp?
Yeah, kind of like, what I said in terms of money is your time, money is your energy, right? While Wilbert said earlier, time is something that you can never get back, right? So understanding that, yes, money can always be earned, but your time cannot. So understanding how you spend your time really is how you spend your money because that's the trade-off, right? We work really, really hard so we can get money, but at some point, money is the best employee, right? It can be the worst or the best because it can work for you 24 hours a day, doesn't call in sick, but it can also be the opposite where it's working against you 24 hours, doesn't call in sick as well. So really making them, again, understand, respecting it in terms of how you spend your time right now. Like you said, you have a short amount of time, to make all the money that you can make. And then after that, it's like, you make money while you're hanging out with your kids, while you're developing more business plans, which you want to be after, you retire. Not retiring from anything, but retiring to something else, having your other passions. Like you talked about earlier, what God has blessed you with, what God anointed you to do, the platforms that they use. So really just getting them to understand that your time and your energy is what really money is. So when you just, you want to buy a $10,000 bag, just know like that's your time and energy. Is it worth it? Is that what you think it's really worth? So just getting them to really understand that and that, they're in a phase where their earning potential is great, but it's not always going to be there. So understanding that, right now is a season, and the next season, you have to plan for that as well.
Yeah, because you can get cut, right?
Yeah.
we can, and that's the thing about the seasons of life, right? All of us can get cut in season. We don't know when our last day will be, so it's important that we don't just hope for the best, but that we plan.
Yes.
Right. Because when I talk about getting cut, what I'm talking about is at any time, I can leave this life. But when I leave this life, what type of impact am I leaving? Mm-hmm. Do I have my financial portfolio set up correctly? Do I have every aspect of it set up that I leave a legacy for my family so that they will never have to go through a winter season for their life. And that's key for me is that as I'm going through my season of life, that as I set up for my family, that they never have to face winter. Right? That they always are able to stay in the spring and the summertime in their lives if I structure things correctly for them moving forward. And that takes not chasing hot trends, not spending my money on frivolous things, and not trying to look for get rich quick schemes, right? But stay the course, because hard work will pay off if you just stay the course in it. So with that being said, Wilbert, as we move forward, going through, we're coming to the last quarter of 2025, right? So we're getting ready to close out this season of the year. We've been talking about planning. We're talking today about seasons of control. What are some things that we need to do as we close out this season of the year, in this last quarter, to prepare ourselves to propel into the next season of the next year?
Measure, evaluate, reset.
Measure, evaluate, reset. What are we?
So I'm gonna measure how successful I was based on what I did this year.
Okay.
I'm gonna evaluate why I was or was not successful in the things that I planned for this year.
Okay.
And then at that point in time, I can now reset for the new year that's coming. So for me personally, just from a business standpoint, the last quarter of the year, I'm not ramping up. I'm really slowing down.
Okay.
Because I've been hard at work all year. When January 1 hits, I'm full speed ahead, because I set my plan in the beginning to dictate what the end is going to look like. Okay. So as I'm approaching this end, I already know what it looks like based on what I plan to do in the beginning. So right now, I'm just evaluating and measuring that success. And as I measure and evaluate that success, and now I take all that information, I take the resources that I've gained over the particular year, and now I'm doing a refresh reset on what worked, what didn't, what to implement, what to change, what to go full speed ahead with, and what to cut off completely. Because every now and then you got to prune the tree.
Yeah.
So I've done some pruning, and we finna get ready and replant because we finna regrow. So right now, as I'm evaluating in this last quarter and measuring, I'm building out a new plan for the top of the year. So when I push reset, it's just like we push reset on that video game.
Yeah.
Another one finna start over again right now. Well, I'm not going to wait till January 1 to figure out what I'm resetting to. I'm hitting the reset button now to prepare. So when January 1 comes, I'm full speed ahead. So I had a gentleman tell me, well, you should be able to do everything that you want to do in this given year in 10 months. And if you want to have a good life, you got to have some time with your family. And for me, I want to have time with my family.
Yeah.
So I want to work as hard as I can for as long as I can, but I'm going into a period of reset. But I can only reset if I have measured and evaluated. Because if I measure and evaluate and I don't have what I need, I'm going to hold off on hitting that reset button just a little while longer. That means I got to keep working through October, through November, and maybe into December. But at some particular point in time, I still have to hit reset, because what I did yesterday doesn't matter. It's only what I'm going to do tomorrow that's going to carry me through the next day.
Yeah.
So understanding the same way, of course, working with athletes, they say the NFL stands for not for long.
Yeah.
What you did yesterday, you can't carry over to the day. I was blessed. I watched my son catch a game-winning touchdown to win the game. I said, well, congratulations. You made a great catch, but you can't take that touchdown to the next game.
Yeah.
We got to evaluate, we got to measure, and we got to reset. And we'll see you back again next week.
That's indeed.
Yeah.